are wanted on second-degree murder charges.
So this is from a source. Obviously, the sheriff did not give us any information about how they may have gotten out. According to a source, it says they may have taken a toilet off the wall inside a cell and then gone through some kind of back way to a back loading dock on the first floor. Once again, that is just from somebody who is familiar with that jail, but saying that they may have taken a toilet off a wall inside a cell and then managed to finagle their way through the building to a back loading dock.
Like using the toilet, using the toilet to
I guess maybe if you take
out?
it off, they have piping underneath, and maybe you can get into like, a wall or a way to get out of the facility. So that's just according to a source very familiar with the jail.
And again, if you're listening here at home, we don't want to create any kind of widespread panic. Just make sure that your doors are locked right now. Just be aware of your surroundings if you're at home right now. I know a lot of people sometimes are in and out of their houses at this hour. Again, one of these inmates made their way, it sounds like, all the way to the French Quarter. So again, just do your due diligence, lock your doors, just be careful if you're traveling out and about right now. These are a look at least 7 of those inmates on the run right now.
Let's go live to Shay O'Connor. Shay, here's a question that we have. Are they still believed to be in their orange OPP or OJC jumpers? I know the sheriff didn't give us much information, but should people be on the lookout for guys in essentially orange prison gowns?
Definitely, Travers. I would say so. I mean, the sheriff did not give us much information about that at all, what to be on the lookout for. But I will tell you that I have seen some helicopters flying in the air. I'd assume that maybe some help, not 7, but 11 inmates have escaped from OJC. And as you mentioned, no one appeared to have known about the escape for quite some time. Now, if our sources are correct, inmates potentially dug a hole, which could mean that this could have been planned for a long time. We're even hearing from sources that this could have been an inside job. I did hear that 1 inmate has been captured, so that means 10 are still on the loose. Sheriff Susan Hudson says local, state, and federal partners will be helping in trying to get these inmates back into custody. But in the meantime, the public is told to be mindful, not to engage if you see one of them, and of course to call police. But as you can see, just a lot happening right here outside of OJC as this search is well underway. We're going to see if we can definitely, I'm just seeing someone who appears to work with OJC. Excuse me, sir. Could you tell me why we did not hear about this for so long?
I cannot
about this escape?
I cannot comment.
Did they dig a hole potentially to get out? Could you answer at all, sir? And as you can see, officials here saying that they really don't want to talk anymore about what happened. Earlier, we heard from Susan Hudson, who pretty much said that she was going to share what she could, but did not allow us to ask any questions about how this happened and why the public and the media had not been alerted about it as soon as they found out. I'm going to send things back over to you all.
Yeah, Shay, that is Chris Goodley. He is their director, I think, of operations. He was a longtime high-ranking NOPD officer. Clearly, good job on trying to get some more answers from him, but a lot of people familiar with NOPD. He retired about a year ago and then went to go work for OPSO.
Now, this is just from my source who just sent me some information about how that individual was caught in the French Quarter. This person tells me that police sources are telling them that facial recognition may have alerted them when the escapee entered that French Quarter area. We've seen that facial recognition software used on previous cases before, but it now appears that the facial recognition software that was implemented in areas of the French Quarter were able to basically click and cause a hit saying that this person is now in the French Quarter when they're not supposed to be, and that's how they were able to find that person so quickly.
Yeah, facial recognition technology works wonders. But once again, if you do live in the mid-city area or even downtown, just be on alert. Like Randy said, we're not trying to scare anybody, but a lot of these guys who broke out are in for some serious crimes, including murder charges, meaning they are accused of killing people. So as you heard them say, they should be considered armed and dangerous. And just to come back to this, the source that tipped us off to this earlier this morning turned out to be 100% accurate. The person telling us again that kind of lines up with what Shay said, that they heard there may have been a tunneling type situation. This person is telling us that it believes that this person, it looks like they took a toilet off the wall of a cell, got into a back wall, and then to a loading dock, and that is how they escaped. But the big question, and look, we've covered jail issues for a long time.
Were they all together?
11 people.
Yeah, were they-
Put them in tiers. That's kind of like a huge jail when it opened. But if you want a layout of the jail, it looks like a huge room with probably 20 to 30 different rooms that come out to a large commissary. That's kind of how they house them in that facility right now. I would assume most of the cells should or would be locked. But nonetheless, the big question is, how do 11 people get out? Look, before this facility that you're looking at was built, that facility after Katrina, when it was tense and barbed wire and just chain link, was plagued with escapes. But I can tell you, never 11, maybe
No.
3 or 4 or 5 max. And that was when it was a tent facility with just chain link fence. The fact that you have one of the biggest, most expensive, most secure jails in really Louisiana with fences that are 12 feet high does lead to a lot of questions.
And again, we've got Mike Hahn, our security expert, still on the phone here with us. And Mike, as you're hearing these details come through, Traverse sources kind of outlaying how these inmates were able to escape. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are the same as what you have come up with, that this is something that was obviously planned. You didn't get 11 inmates together at one time and just happen to pull a toilet off of a wall. And then once you got to the loading dock, what was the plan to get out successfully? And that all 11 got out successfully. So I believe with the one that they've already captured, and probably they found the area that they egressed through, they already know what transpired. So now the biggest thing is just locating them back. Again, starting an investigation on each one who has relatives in the area, going to check on those houses, going to check on addresses, and trying to round them back up. And you'll see them probably throughout the day trickle back in, and then a couple will probably still be missing for a couple of days after this with the investigations going on.
And Mike, look, I know you still talk to a lot of people. The sheriff didn't answer this, but should people be looking for guys in orange prison gowns, or do you think maybe they changed clothes? I guess these are details that probably should have come out 35 minutes ago that just didn't.
Well, I think that's extremely important, although it sounds foolish almost that you would see a guy running down the street in prison garb, orange jumpsuits, but it's certainly a question that needs to be asked and addressed as soon as possible, because if that is the case, then you also have to assume that by now they've probably gotten plain clothes to put on as well. So you'd have to assume that they're not still in that, but that would be very important to know as well.
Now, what would be the law enforcement response here? I mean, we are seeing a lot of the sheriff's deputies and even some of the top members of the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office kind of go around the jail. Shay mentioned that she was seeing a helicopter there as well. Should they be doing any other kind of precautionary measures to maybe keep these individuals in a certain perimeter, or what would that response be?
The time frame is so vast that I don't know that you could contain or set up a perimeter in where they are right now and what's going on. So at that point, I think that now you just have to, again, start trying to go on tips with people calling things in that look suspicious, and people also trying to, again, work those individuals, their families, and start interviewing the one they've caught and what was the plan for when they got out. Were they going to meet up somewhere? Did they all go on their own? Were they in certain groups of the 11? Were there 3 or 4 of them together? And start breaking all that down and just start a massive investigation. And then share that immediately with all other law enforcement and get everyone else, NOPD, JPSO, all the way out to St. Tammany, everywhere around, involved in it and looking for these individuals.
And Mike and even Travers, y'all might be able to answer this for me, but I mean, are there not cameras that could see these guys go to said loading dock if they're trying to escape? Are these cameras not being monitored? I'm just curious as to how no one was able to see 11 large men try and leave this facility.
They're there and they're supposed to be working. Am I right, Mike?
100%. You're going to have cameras all over the facility, especially throughout the loading dock area and everything with that. Again, it just depends on were they being monitored. My big question is, when did they leave? Again, 11 large people walking out together, and how did none of that get caught on tape or none of that alert? And how did you get past those gates and open those gates to eventually get out of the containment facility?
And Mike, we got a live update with you on the set here with us, or on live with us. Kendall Miles, I believe his picture's in there. We just reported, we heard he was apprehended. It's official, according to the jail. Kendall Miles, who was born in 2004.
21 years old.
20 right now, it looks like. He'll be 21 this year, was just picked up by state police.